Hey everyone, welcome to week 5. Yeah, it's week 5, okay. Welcome to week 5 of Wotown Writers, and I apologize for the very attractive look you're getting today, but it's been a week. I broke my closet, which was interesting and a long story. The pole fell out and metal shards, and it's kind of depressing. It means I have to clean out my closet. And I built a bookcase, so now all my writing things are all in one little happy spot, and I'm very excited about it. But my sister, who is also home this weekend, would argue that I did not build the bookcase, I assembled the bookcase. The bookcase was built by the manufacturers, to which I respond, if I have to use a hammer, a screwdriver, and a power screwdriver to put something together, that's building it. Anytime I have to use power tools, it counts as building. That's been my week in a nutshell. I've gotten no writing done all week. It's been great. And I'm also in this weird limbo thing with, I'm kind of in between books, because I finished a book, and I was hoping that a book that I put on reserve at the library was going to be in by the time I finished the book that I was reading, but, because my life is a cosmic joke, the book is still not in at the library. But, so for now, I'm reading Stick Figure, A Diary of My Former Self, which is by Lori Gottlieb. I don't know, I got it at a book sale. It's a nonfiction, memoir kind of thing. I'm 5 pages into it, but so far it's good. So this week we are talking about what made us get into writing, and I'm so excited I can talk this week, because that was really hard on my video last week, and that duct tape really did hurt. Yeah, my lips were numb for an hour. It was awkward. So I thought I would start out by sharing the very first story that I ever wrote, because it's touching. It is. It's, you might tear up. You might want to get the tissues. The biggest birthday ever. One day, Frog went to Toad's house. "Happy birthday, Toad," shouted Frog. He had a big present for Toad. It was a puppy. But Toad did not take the puppy for walks. Frog said, "You have to take puppies for walks." "Oh," said Toad. So Toad took the puppy for walks, and sometimes Frog would go with them. The end. That was the very first story I ever wrote in first grade. Right there. Well, actually that wasn't the story. The story is right there. Isn't that lovely? As part of my reading group in my first grade class, we were reading Frog and Toad, and we had to each write our own little Frog and Toad story. I don't know if any of you have ever read the Frog and Toad stories, but that's what they are. They're little kid stories about a frog and a toad, and it's all very exciting. But after we wrote them, then our first grade teacher, Mrs. Allen, went and typed them all up and bound them together, and then we got to illustrate our own little Frog and Toad books. That was my first writing experience. It was the first time I wrote a story. If you think about it, even though it's all of 6 sentences long, it's got all the important things you need in a story, really. It has dialogue and characters and narrative and a conflict. Walk dogs. Apparently that was the lesson I was going for in that story. That was really what first got me into writing. Was I had some really amazing teachers in elementary school. Mrs. Allen in first grade was very encouraging with writing and reading, and that was really important. Obviously, falling in love with writingness. And then in third grade, I had another teacher who was really, really enthusiastic about it, Mrs. Dale, and she did we would write little stories, and then she showed us how to bind them in different ways. And so I wrote kind of like this little series of stories in third grade about this group of friends. And I think that was part of the thing that really got me started in writing, was the fact that I had teachers who were so enthusiastic about getting us to show our creativity and getting us to tell our stories that I did. And then once I got into that, once my teachers had encouraged me to do all that, then I got into actually writing stories at home, which was, I wrote this little short story thing about my kid's book about my younger sister. I think I kind of based it off of a book that I had read at the library. Yes, I was plagiarism is bad, and I knew that when I was little as well. So look right there, it says adapted from Ruth Shaw Radlauer. I have absolutely no idea what book it was that I read. What changed, what made me fall in love with writing as much as I did, other than the fact that I have a huge imagination and I'm always telling stories to myself. I'm always telling stories to people, just about my day. I'm always sharing stories. What really changed between third grade and when I absolutely fell in love with writing, and it became my lifeline, essentially. It became my life, was in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. I really didn't have any friends at all. I had friends who, in return for allowing me to hang out with them, would torment me mercilessly, essentially. And so what I would do instead of feeling miserable all the time is I would write stories, and that's what I did on my free time. And I found this under my bed. This is my folder O writing from those years, and this is right now, this is the first time I'm opening it up in a really long time. And I have some stuff in here from middle school too, I think. Like this. This was actually a language arts thing for 7th or 8th grade. I can't remember what it was, but I did writing in it as well. And the funny thing is that once I actually did have friends, once I got to middle school and I actually did gain really good friends, that still stuck with me. I still wrote stories about the fact that I had to go through that torment, and I went through a phase of I really liked writing poetry for a while. This is more of what I would write in elementary school. I would take pieces of notebook paper and I would make a little cover page, and then each of my chapters would be one sheet of paper. So here's chapter 1, and then the next sheet of paper is chapter 2. And that's how I wrote when I was younger. And then I would finish it, and it would be all about 20 pages long, 20 pieces of paper stapled together, and be like, look, I wrote a novel. It's kind of cute looking back on it. Apparently I liked writing characters into big families back then too. That has never changed. My characters always have these big, crazy, ridiculous families. I think it's because that's kind of how my dad's kind of family is. He's from a big family, so I have a lot of aunts and uncles. So that's what I'm used to. But this is what I would write. I wrote a lot of drama, and I also wrote a lot of historical fiction at that point in time as well, which is something I've gotten away from, because my version of historical fiction at that point in time was to just try to make it up as I went along. There was really no research involved whatsoever, and it was usually with whatever historical event I was interested in at the time or that we were studying in school. So I think I wrote a story about the Chicago Fire, I wrote a story about the pioneers. I wrote many stories about pioneers because I was fascinated by pioneers. So yeah, that is the story of how I got into writing. Sorry if it sounded rambly. I really didn't script this before I started. Oh, I also have to say, happy 1 month until National Novel Writing Month, because we are now in October. The countdown has begun, and I am so excited, and I know what I'm writing for November, which is kind of impressive because I've known for a couple weeks now what I was going to write, and sometimes I don't know what I'm going to write until about 11:59 on October 31st, and I'm getting ready to sit down at the computer and ring in November. Tomorrow, Caitlin will share how she got into writing and what she wrote when she was younger, and come back all week to hear what the other girls' stories are. I gotta go fix my closet now. Yay! See you guys later.